How did my sister's wedding turn into a crime scene in under 20 minutes? I'm halfway down the aisle at my sister's wedding when I realize someone just poisoned me. The champagne tasted wrong, bitter, chalky, metallic. I thought maybe it was cheap champagne, a wedding budget thing. But now my vision is blurring. The string quartet sounds like it's underwater. My hands are tingling. I try to stand. My legs won't cooperate. I fall into the aisle. That's when Diane, my sister's new mother-in-law, grabs my arm hard enough to bruise. She yanks me back into my seat and hisses in my ear, "You're making a scene. Sit down and be quiet like a proper bridesmaid." I try to tell her something's wrong. The words come out slurred. "I know exactly what you've done. You're just like your mother, always causing problems." My vision tunnels. My pulse hammers in my ears. Sweat soaks through my bridesmaid's dress. The officiant asks if anyone objects to this marriage. I try to speak. Diane clamps her hand over my mouth, presses so hard I taste blood where my teeth cut into my lip. I try to bite her, try to scratch, but my body feels like I'm moving through syrup. The ceremony continues. No one notices. Or if they do, they think I'm drunk. After the ceremony, I slump onto the person in front of me. Diane announces to everyone, "She's clearly drunk and embarrassed the family. Let's get her somewhere to sleep it off." 2 groomsmen carry me to a storage room. They're laughing like I'm just wasted at a wedding. I hear the lock click. I'm imprisoned while the poison works through my system. I have no phone, no windows. I can't scream. I hear Diane outside the door. "She's always been jealous of Felicity. She just needs to sleep it off." I drift in and out of consciousness. I think about my mom. She died when I was 12. Heart condition, sudden. Now I'm going to die at 19, poisoned at my sister's wedding. The edges of my vision go completely black. I'm slipping away. My name is Emma Harrison. I'm 19 years old. I'm a college student in Portland, Oregon. And my sister's mother-in-law just tried to murder me at a wedding in front of 200 people. She drugged me, silenced me, locked me in a room to die. But I didn't die. The paramedics found me just in time. And now, Diane Pritchard is going to spend the next 18 years in prison. This is the story of how my sister's wedding became a crime scene in under 20 minutes. Let me take you back to the beginning. 6 months earlier, January 2018, my sister Felicity got engaged to Jeffrey Pritchard. They'd been dating for 2 years. He was perfect for her. Kind, stable, worked as an architect. I was thrilled. Felicity was 24. I was 18. We'd been close since our mom died 6 years earlier. Our dad, Michael, raised us alone. He worked as a civil engineer. Did his best. We were a tight unit, the 3 of us against the world. When Felicity announced the engagement at Sunday dinner, Dad cried happy tears. "Your mother would have loved to see this," he said. The wedding planning started immediately. Felicity was organized, had Pinterest boards and spreadsheets and a 3-ring binder. The budget was modest, $18,000 total. Dad had been saving for years. I was maid of honor. Felicity had 2 other bridesmaids, her college roommate and her best friend from work. Everything was going smoothly until I met Diane, Jeffrey's mother, Diane Pritchard. She was 53, worked as a veterinary technician at an animal clinic, had been divorced from Jeffrey's father for 10 years. She was intense. The first time we met was at an engagement party in February at Diane's house. Diane hugged me too long, held my hands, and stared into my eyes. "You must be Emma?"
Jeffrey's told me so much about Felicity's little sister. You're the one without a mother, right? The way she said it made my skin crawl. Our mom passed away when I was 12, I said carefully.
How tragic. Well, I'm here now. You girls need a maternal figure, someone to guide you. Felicity looked uncomfortable, but smiled. That's sweet, Diane. Over the next few months, Diane inserted herself into every aspect of the wedding planning. She called Felicity constantly. Have you thought about this color scheme? Have you considered this venue? Let me help you with the invitations. At first, Felicity appreciated the help. It's nice to have another woman involved. I miss Mom. But Diane's help became controlling. She showed up uninvited to Felicity's dress fitting, criticized the dress. It's a bit plain, isn't it? I think you need more embellishment. She demanded changes to the guest list. You can't invite your mother's side of the family. It'll make my side feel outnumbered. She tried to change the venue. The community center is so middle class. Let me pay for the country club. Felicity politely declined. We already paid the deposit. We're sticking with the community center. Diane's face went hard, but she smiled. Of course, whatever you want, dear. I told Felicity I didn't trust Diane. She's just a lot, I said. She's trying to take over your wedding. She's just excited. She means well. Does she? Because she's acting like this is her wedding, not yours. Emma, please don't make this difficult. I need everyone to get along. Jeffrey's already stressed about his mom's behavior. I don't want you adding to it. I backed off. It was Felicity's wedding, not my place to cause drama. But Diane's behavior toward me got worse. April 2018. Bridal shower at Diane's house. She'd insisted on hosting. Everything was perfect. Tasteful decorations, beautiful food. Diane played the gracious hostess. Until I offered to help clean up. I was in the kitchen loading the dishwasher when Diane came in. You don't need to do that, she said coldly. I don't mind. I want to help. You've helped enough. Something in her tone made me turn around. She was staring at me with pure hatred. Is something wrong? I asked. You know exactly what's wrong. You're jealous of your sister. You can't stand that she's getting married and you're not. What? That's not... I see the way you look at Jeffrey, the way you try to get his attention. It's pathetic. I stared at her. I've never... Diane, what are you talking about? Don't play innocent with me. I know your type. Girls like you, without mothers, without guidance, you latch on to other people's families. You try to steal what isn't yours. I'm not trying to steal anything. Stay away from my son and stop trying to sabotage this wedding. She walked out. I stood there, shaking. I told Felicity what happened. She looked exhausted. Emma, Diane said you were inappropriate with Jeffrey at the shower. That you were flirting with him. What? That's insane. I barely talked to him. I was helping with cleanup. She said you've been making comments about him, asking personal questions. Felicity, that's not true. Why would I do that? I don't know, but Diane seems genuinely concerned. Diane is lying about me. She's setting me up for something. Why would she do that? I don't know, but I don't trust her. Felicity squeezed my hand. Please, just ignore her. For me. Just get through the wedding. After that, we barely have to see her. I agreed. For Felicity. But Diane wasn't done. May 2018. 1 month before the wedding. I started noticing things. Diane would tell Felicity things I supposedly said, things I never said. Emma told me she thinks your dress is ugly. Emma said she thinks Jeffrey could do better.
Emma was complaining about having to be in the wedding. All lies. Felicity would confront me. I'd deny it. She'd be confused. Why would Diane make that up? I don't know, but I never said any of that. The week before the wedding, Diane called Felicity, crying. Emma called me and screamed at me, said horrible things about Jeffrey, said I was a terrible mother. I'd never called Diane. Ever. Felicity called me. Did you call Diane? No, I've never called her. She has your number in her call log. Then she's spoofing it or lying. I didn't call her. Emma, this is getting out of hand. What is going on? I don't know. But Diana's building a narrative. She's telling everyone I'm unstable and jealous. Why would she do that unless she's planning something? Planning what? I don't know. But I don't feel safe around her. Felicity was silent for a long time. Emma, I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me you'll be on your best behavior at the wedding, no matter what Diane does or says. Just smile and get through it. Felicity, please, promise me. This is my wedding day. I just want it to be perfect. I promised. It was the worst promise I ever made. June 16th, 2018. Wedding day. Morning started early. Hair and makeup at 9 a.m. at the community center by noon. The ceremony was scheduled for 3 p.m. Reception immediately after. I helped Felicity get into her dress. She looked beautiful. I asked her, "You okay?" She said, "I'm nervous, but happy. This is really happening. You're going to be an amazing wife." She hugged me and said, "Thank you for being here. I know these past few months have been hard. I'm sorry I didn't believe you about Diane. It's okay. Today is about you and Jeffrey. That's all that matters." The ceremony space looked perfect. White chairs, flower arrangements, a string quartet warming up. Guests started arriving at 2:30 p.m. At 2:45 p.m., we were lined up in the back hall. Felicity, me, the two other bridesmaids, and the flower girl, Jeffrey's niece, age 6. A server came by with a tray of champagne. "For the bridal party," she said, "to calm the nerves." We each took a glass, clinked them together, drank. Mine tasted wrong. Immediately. Bitter, chalky, metallic aftertaste. I looked at my glass, looked at everyone else's. Theirs looked normal, clear, bubbling. Mine was slightly cloudy. "Does anyone else's champagne taste weird?" I asked. They all shook their heads. "Mine's fine. Mine's good." I took another sip. Same terrible taste. "I think mine is bad," I said. Felicity was distracted, fixing her veil. "Just don't drink it then. We need to line up." The music started. The processional. The flower girl went first, then the two bridesmaids, then me. I started walking down the aisle. That's when my vision blurred. My hands tingled. My legs felt weak. Halfway down the aisle, I stumbled. People gasped. I tried to keep going, made it to my spot at the front. Felicity started down the aisle. Everyone stood. I tried to focus, but the room was spinning. I looked to my right. Diane was sitting in the front row, staring at me. She smiled. Not a friendly smile, a satisfied smile. That's when I knew. She did this. I tried to speak, to call for help, but my tongue felt thick. The words came out slurred. The ceremony started. The officiant spoke. I tried to stay standing, but my legs gave out. I sat down hard on the steps. Diane stood up. came to me, grabbed my arm. "You're making a scene," she hissed. "Sit down and be quiet, like a proper bridesmaid." I tried to tell her I was sick, needed help. The words wouldn't come. "I know exactly what you've done," she whispered. "You're just like your mother, always causing problems." The ceremony continued. Felicity and Jeffrey exchanged vows. My vision tunneled. Everything went dark at the edges. The officiant said, "If anyone objects to this union, speak now, or forever hold your peace." I tried to speak, tried to object. Not because I objected to the marriage, but because I needed help. I opened my mouth.
Diane's hand clamped over it, hard. Pressing so hard, my teeth cut into my lip. I tasted blood. I tried to bite her, scratch her, fight her off, but my body wouldn't respond, like I was moving through thick syrup. The ceremony finished. Felicity and Jeffrey kissed. Everyone applauded. The recessional music started. I slumped forward, couldn't sit up. Diane stood and announced loudly, "Emma's clearly had too much to drink. She's embarrassed the family. Let's get her somewhere quiet." 2 groomsmen, Jeffrey's cousins, came over. "Is she okay?" When asked, Diane said, "She's drunk," firmly. "Just had too much champagne. Nerves probably. Can you help her to the storage room? She needs to sleep it off." They laughed, lightweight. They carried me, my arms draped over their shoulders, my feet dragging. I tried to tell them I wasn't drunk, that something was wrong, but I couldn't form words. They put me in a storage room, small, dark, smelled like cleaning supplies. "Sleep it off," one of them said. "We'll check on you later." The door closed. I heard the lock click. I was alone, locked in, dying. I don't know how long I was in that room. Time stopped meaning anything. I drifted in and out of consciousness. My heart was pounding too fast, then too slow, then I couldn't feel it at all. My breathing was shallow. Each breath took effort. I thought about my mom, how she died suddenly. Heart just stopped. I was going to die the same way, except mine wasn't natural. Mine was murder. I thought about Felicity, how her wedding day would be remembered as the day her sister died. I thought about Dad, how he'd lose another person he loved. I thought about Diane, how she'd get away with it. Because everyone thought I was drunk. Everyone thought I was causing drama, just like she'd planned. I closed my eyes. This was it. Then I heard voices, loud voices. The door crashed open, bright light, people in uniforms, paramedics. "We've got her, she's barely breathing." Hands on me, checking pulse, shining light in my eyes. Heart rate's dangerously low. Blood pressure is crashing. We need to move, now. They lifted me onto a stretcher. I tried to ask what happened, how they found me. One of the paramedics, a woman with kind eyes, said, "One of the caterers saw what happened, saw Diane pour something into my champagne. She called 911. They carried me through the reception area. Everything had stopped. The music was off. Police were everywhere. Diane was in handcuffs, screaming. Felicity was standing in her wedding dress, mascara running down her face. The reception was destroyed. Chairs overturned, plates abandoned, wedding cake smashed on the floor. I blacked out. I woke up in the hospital. Machines beeping, IV in my arm, Dad holding my hand. "Emma, thank God. What happened?" A doctor came in, Dr. Rachel Kim. She was young, maybe 30. "Emma, you were poisoned. We ran blood tests. You had high levels of prescription sedatives mixed with something else. If you'd gone much longer without treatment, you would have stopped breathing completely." "Diane," I whispered. "We know. The police are handling it. Right now, we need to focus on flushing the drugs out of your system. You're going to be okay, but it's going to take time." A detective came that evening. Detective Foster, 50 years old, gray hair, tired eyes. He recorded my statement. Everything I remembered.
The champagne tasting wrong, Diane restraining me, being locked in the storage room. We've arrested Diane Pritchard. We found the drugs in her purse, sleeping pills and GHB. The catering staff saw her pour something from a vial into your champagne flute. We have her on security footage. Why? I asked. Why would she do this? According to her statement, she claims she only meant to make you sleepy, so you wouldn't cause drama during the ceremony. But the combination of drugs she used was nearly lethal. She locked me in a room. She knew I was dying. We know. That's why she's been charged with attempted murder, not just aggravated assault. Dad broke down crying. I should have protected you. I should have seen what she was doing. It's not your fault, Dad. But part of me wondered, if anyone had listened to me about Diane, if anyone had believed me, would this have been prevented?
The next morning, Felicity came to visit. She looked like she'd aged 5 years overnight. Her eyes were red and swollen. We both cried. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I should have believed you. About Diane. About everything. You didn't know. I did know. You told me. You warned me. And I didn't listen. I accused you of being jealous, of causing drama, and she almost killed you. It's not your fault, isn't it? I chose to believe her over you, my own sister." She told me everything the police had found. Diane had been planning this for weeks. She'd convinced herself that I was deliberately trying to sabotage Felicity's marriage. She'd planted seeds for months, telling Felicity I was jealous, telling everyone I was unstable. She was setting up a narrative to explain away whatever she was planning to do to you. So if you got sick or acted strangely, everyone would think it was your fault, not hers. It almost worked. If it wasn't for Maria, the catering manager, you'd be dead. She saw Diane doctoring the champagne. She tried to find you during the ceremony. When she couldn't, she called 911. Then she told the groomsmen you were locked in the storage room. I need to thank her. She saved your life, and she probably saved my marriage. Because if Jeffrey's mother had succeeded in killing you, I don't know if we could have survived that. 3 days later, I got the full toxicology report. Rohypnol, prescription sedatives, and a veterinary tranquilizer. Dr. Kim explained. The veterinary tranquilizer, ketamine, she stole from her workplace, the animal clinic where she works as a vet tech. The mixture should have killed you. You only survived because you'd only consumed about a third of the champagne before you started showing symptoms. The police found more evidence. Diane's phone had searches, how to make someone appear drunk, how to make someone pass out at a wedding, how long does ketamine take to work? Text messages to her sister. I'm handling the problem of Felicity's annoying little sister. She won't ruin this wedding. Diane had genuinely convinced herself I was deliberately trying to sabotage Felicity's marriage, and she decided to eliminate the problem permanently. She was charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute. Bail was set at $500,000. Her family couldn't afford it. She stayed in jail, awaiting trial. The media found the story. Girl who almost died at her sister's wedding. My phone exploded with messages. Friend requests from strangers, interview requests from news shows. I turned my phone off, stayed with Dad in my childhood bedroom. The physical recovery was harder than I expected. 2 weeks after the poisoning, I started physical therapy. The combination of drugs caused nerve damage. My coordination and balance were affected. I had to relearn how to walk without stumbling, how to hold things without dropping them. Your brain forgot how to send the right signals to your muscles, my therapist explained. This is going to take months of work, and we don't know if you'll make a full recovery. Some days, I couldn't hold a pen, couldn't hold a fork. I cried in frustration. This is permanent, isn't it? We don't know yet. The toxins affected your central nervous system. We're doing everything we can. The preliminary hearing was 6 weeks after the poisoning. Diane's defense attorney painted me as an attention-seeking drama queen who'd taken drugs herself. It was such an absurd claim that several people in the courtroom actually laughed. The security footage was damning. It showed Diane taking a champagne flute from the server's tray, stepping behind a column for 30 seconds, then placing the flute back on the tray. The timestamp matched exactly when the tray was distributed to the bridal party, and the seat assignments Diane had insisted on put me in the exact spot where the doctored drink would end up. The judge ordered her held without bail pending trial. Given the severity of the charges and the premeditated nature of this crime, the defendant poses a significant danger to the community. Diane's face showed no emotion. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The defense tried everything. They brought up every mistake I'd ever made. Bad grades in high school, a citation for underage drinking at a party, a shoplifting incident when I was 14. They tried to paint a picture of an unstable attention seeker who'd orchestrated this whole thing. But the physical evidence was overwhelming. The security footage, the toxicology reports, the witnesses. Maria, the catering manager, testified about seeing Diane pour something into my champagne. The groomsmen testified about Diane insisting I was drunk and needed to be locked away. Dr. Kim testified about how close I came to dying. On day 10, the jury returned. Guilty on all charges. Diane showed no motion, just stared straight ahead. Jeffrey, her own son, sat in the back row, stone-faced. He and Felicity had been in intensive couples therapy, trying to process what her mother had done. The sentencing hearing was 2 weeks later. The courtroom was packed, media everywhere. I read my victim impact statement. I still can't hold things without dropping them sometimes. I have nightmares about being locked in that storage room, unable to breathe, knowing I was dying while everyone else was celebrating. I've lost my sense of safety. I'm terrified to drink anything I didn't prepare myself. I've lost a year of my education because I can't write or type consistently. This has changed my life permanently. Diane's attorney argued for leniency. She had no prior criminal record. She was a respected member of the community. She just made one terrible mistake. The judge wasn't having it. This was not a mistake. This was a calculated, premeditated act of violence. Miss Pritchard researched how to incapacitate the victim. She stole drugs from her workplace. She doctored a drink. She physically restrained the victim when she tried to get help. She had her locked in a room while she was dying. This is one of the most disturbing cases of premeditated violence I've seen in my career. 18 years in prison. Eligible for parole after 12. Diane cried, looked at Jeffrey, mouthed, "I'm sorry." He stared back with no expression. Then he stood up and walked out of the courtroom. I learned later he'd filed paperwork to legally change his middle name. His middle name had been his mother's maiden name. He wanted no connection to her. The months after sentencing were hard. Some days, I felt normal. Other days, I couldn't get out of bed. The physical tremors were permanent. The neurologist confirmed it. The nerve damage is extensive. It may improve slightly over time, but you'll likely always have some level of tremor and coordination issues.
I dropped out of community college for a semester. I couldn't write or type consistently enough to keep up with coursework. Dad sold our house. Too many memories. Too many reporters showing up asking questions. We moved to a new neighborhood across town. I packed up my childhood bedroom. Threw away most of my things. Started fresh. Felicity and Jeffrey moved too. They couldn't stay in Portland. Too many people knew the story. They moved to Denver, 3 states away, for distance, for a fresh start. We never had a real wedding celebration, never had a reception, never got the happy beginning we planned. And I carry guilt about that my wedding is the day you almost died. It's not your fault, but it feels like it is. 2 years after the poisoning, I finished my associate's degree. I transferred to a 4-year university 3 hours away, Reed College, small liberal arts school where nobody knew my story. Starting fresh felt liberating. I changed my major to criminal justice. My experience with the legal system showed me that victims needed advocates, people who understood what it was like to be on that side of a criminal case. I made new friends who accepted me without knowing the before version. Professors never knew why I was so passionate about victims' rights, why I wrote every paper about prosecutorial ethics and victim advocacy.
I just told them it was an interest. 3 years into Diane's sentence, I got a letter from her. The return address made my hand shake so badly I dropped the envelope. I waited 2 weeks to open it. Inside was a handwritten letter on prison stationery. Dear Emma, I've been doing a lot of thinking in here. I found religion. I've been going to chapel services. I realize now what I did was wrong. I want to apologize. I was confused and scared. I thought you were trying to ruin Felicity's happiness. I made a terrible mistake. I hope you can forgive me. I'm up for parole in 9 years. I'm hoping you'll consider writing a letter of support for my parole application. We're family now. Family forgives. Love, Diane. I read it 3 times. Then I burned it. I never responded. My therapist said, "That's a healthy boundary. You don't owe her forgiveness. You don't owe her participation in her redemption narrative." I feel guilty, though. Why? Because she apologized. Isn't that what victims are supposed to want? Was it a real apology, or was it performative? Did she take full responsibility without justifications? Or did she blame her actions on being confused and scared and thinking you were trying to ruin things? I thought about it. The second one. Exactly. She hasn't changed. She's just learned what she's supposed to say to get what she wants, which is early release. You're not required to help with that. I didn't feel guilty after that. I graduated with my bachelor's in criminal justice in May 2022. I was accepted to law school with a partial scholarship, Northwestern Law in Chicago. Dad cried at my graduation. He said, "I remember a time when I didn't know if you'd ever walk again, and look at you now." Felicity and Jeffrey came to the ceremony. They had twins by then, a boy and a girl. They'd named them after my mother and Jeffrey's father, deliberately excluding any connection to Diane. Jeffrey was still in therapy. He'd cut all contact with his mother, refused her calls, returned her letters unopened. "She tried to murder my sister-in-law," he said simply. "There's no coming back from that. Law school was hard, but I was good at it." My hands still trembled. I learned to type with voice-to-text software when the tremors were bad. My classmates thought my tremors were from anxiety or too much caffeine. I didn't correct them. I specialized in victim advocacy and prosecution work. Every case felt personal in a way my supervisors noticed, but didn't question.
I graduated near the top of my class. I was recruited by the district attorney's office in Seattle, started as a junior prosecutor in January 2025. Finally, I felt like I'd turned my trauma into something meaningful. June 2024. 12 years after the poisoning. I got a notification letter on a random Thursday. Diane was eligible for parole. The hearing was in 2 months. My hands shook worse than they had in years. I called Felicity. We both cried. She thought we had more time, she said. Me too. We agreed to write statements opposing her parole, but we wouldn't attend the hearing in person. I can't see her again, Felicity said. I can't be in the same room with the woman who tried to kill my sister. I understood. Writing the victim impact statement took 3 weeks. Multiple drafts, multiple breakdowns. I documented everything. The permanent tremors, the nightmares, the hypervigilance, the years of therapy, the failed relationships because I couldn't trust people anymore. All of it traced back to 18 minutes at my sister's wedding when someone decided I was disposable. I submitted it 2 weeks before the hearing. The parole board denied her release. Given the severity of the crime and the lack of genuine remorse shown by the inmate, parole is denied. She will be eligible for review again in 2 years. Relief. We had at least 2 more years of safety. But also anger. This is the punishment for surviving, I told my therapist. The constant requirement to prove that what happened was bad enough to keep her locked up. I know. It's not fair. You shouldn't have to keep reliving this. But I would. Every 2 years. For as long as Diane was alive and in prison. It's been 6 years since that parole hearing. 12 years since the poisoning. I'm 31 years old now. I work as a prosecutor in Seattle. I handle criminal cases. I fight for victims. My hands still shake sometimes, especially when I'm stressed or tired. I still won't drink anything I didn't prepare myself. Water bottles get opened in front of me, or they don't get consumed. I still have nightmares about locked, dark rooms, about not being able to breathe. But I'm also stronger than I ever thought possible. I have a career I love. I have friends who support me. I have a life that matters. Felicity's twins call me Auntie Emma. They're 10 years old now. They don't know why I flinch when they offer me a juice box. They don't know why I insist on getting my own drinks. They just know I'm their favorite aunt. Felicity's wedding album sits in her closet, unopened. A memorial to a celebration that never was. But she and Jeffrey are happy. They built a life together despite the trauma. They've been in therapy. They've worked through it. Jeffrey still has no contact with Diane. She writes him letters from prison. He burns them without reading them. She made her choice, he says. She has to live with it. People ask me if I've forgiven Diane. The answer is no. Forgiveness isn't something she's earned. It's not something I owe her. She made a choice to poison me. She made another choice to restrain me when I tried to get help. She made another choice to have me locked away while I died. She has to live with those choices, just like I have to live with their consequences. The difference is, I didn't choose this path, but I'm making the most of it anyway. I'm turning my pain into purpose, my trauma into triumph. I prosecute people who hurt others. I advocate for victims who can't advocate for themselves. I carry the scars, the tremors in my hands, the hypervigilance, the nightmares. But I also carry the strength of someone who survived when she wasn't supposed to. The strength of someone who turned 18 minutes of horror into a lifetime of fighting for justice. My name is Emma Harrison. I'm 31 years old. I'm a prosecutor in Seattle. When I was 19, my sister's mother-in-law tried to murder me at a wedding. She drugged me, silenced me, locked me in a room to die. She got 18 years in prison. I got nerve damage, PTSD, and a life permanently altered. But I also got something else. I got purpose. I got a career helping other people who've been hurt by someone they should have been able to trust. I got the knowledge that I'm strong enough to survive the worst thing I could imagine. And I got the satisfaction of knowing that Diane Pritchard is in a cell while I'm out here living my life, making a difference. She tried to make me disappear. Instead, she made me unforgettable. She tried to silence me. Instead, she gave me a voice I use every day to fight for victims. She tried to end my story. Instead, she just changed the genre from victim to survivor to warrior. I wouldn't choose this story if I had the option, but I'm not ashamed of it either. I'm the girl who survived her sister's wedding, and I'm the woman who turned that survival into something that matters. 18 minutes changed my life, but they didn't end it. And that's the difference between what Diane intended and what actually happened. She wanted me dead. I'm alive, and I'm winning.